And I'm going to turn on Susan. I see her hand up, 610. Welcome.
Hey, Jeannie, I'm just calling for the daily report. How are you doing?
Well, I slept better last night, and I actually can move my arm has been like right up against my body, and I've not been able to move it at all. And this morning I can actually move my elbow like about maybe 5 or 6 inches away from my body. So I'm thankful that is progress.
Wow.
I still can't reach the top of my head, but I can move my elbow outwards.
Mm-hmm. Are you trying to do typing and all this while you're, how are you handling all your jobs?
Handed type. I'm doing everything with my right hand, and my left hand and arm is resting in a sling. And
oh my God!
And over and over and over and over again, I'm saying stop, sit still, just stop.
She needs a special dispensation, Michael, to not do notes for a couple of days or something. Oh my God.
What she needs is for her mind to say, it's okay for me to do nothing.
And I have done that, Michael, for over 2 weeks
Yeah, you actually
now.
have been doing much better at it the last few days. That's true. That's true. So how are you, young lady?
I'm fine. How are your feet, Michael?
They're pretty good. About 80%.
Good. Hey, not bad.
Not bad.
That's great.
Not bad.
So I just called in to get the report. And when Jeannie comes on and you're dialing in, there's a little gap in there where I can ask a question that's sort of off the record. So, not part of the show.
I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you.
Well, and
Thank
I
you
love
for entering the
finding
gap.
out on, and finding out on Facebook. Thank goodness you post to us busybodies who want to know how things are going. Yeah, the pictures and everything, you're good.
That's the easiest way to keep family and friends and everybody up to date of what's happening instead of having to make 50 phone calls.
Oh, I know it. It's great. I agree. So that's it. I just wanted to ask, so I'll be listening.
Sweet. Welcome. Thank you for lending your ears.
And we do have a book club this afternoon, so anybody who is interested in joining in that, I'll put the link in the notes for today, but it's the Global Online Book Club that's been going on now, since, I'm just looking real quick, we began March the 10th of 22, so it's been going over 2 years now.
So, Miss Jeannie, do we have anything happening in the chat room? Any questions in the app? Or anybody in the phone queue with a hand up?
No, it's all quiet, and I was just reminding everybody we had the Global Book Club this afternoon at 3:30 Eastern Time.
Cool. Well, one of the things that I have been attempting to do since I started to do the into being quantum still point process is to find a way to express what it is. And I joined a new Course in Miracles group on Facebook yesterday. And this morning, as I opened up, there was a definition of quantum still point. I've edited a little bit from the Course in Miracles quote, but it basically is expressed perfectly there. So I'd like to share it with you. What is into being awakening through quantum still point? Our practice is that of welcoming an instant of healing through a moment of profound stillness where the release of all resistance, physical, mental, and emotional, is achieved. Our objective is to culminate in that moment a deep physiological reorganization brought on by freeing, for an instant, the grip of the mind and allowing the oft misunderstood experience of conscious, active, present love to enter and have its way. Be still and know. This instant in being comes quietly into the mind, and the body that lets go stops and is still. Reach gently from this quiet space and from the wine which causes all minds to be, that He has healed you in stillness and quiet. Reach to other minds and share your quietness, extending serenity to all unquiet minds, and bring them an instant of stillness where the memory of love returns to them. Remembering is quiet now. So that's where this all culminates, where it all comes together, where we're heading. And, of course, it's brought on by the engagement of Rukkadekucha fully, remembering that in Aramaic, Rukkadekucha, there are two perspectives you can take of that experience. One is that of the breath. The other is the Aramaic definition. She who undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. Coming to a point of total stillness where everything is turned over. I was just saying to Jeannie this morning, you know, it's a process I've just really begun the last few months, and what I'm realizing, and I'm deeply excited about doing more of it, because what I'm realizing is each time that I've guided someone into it, I get to do it again this weekend. I get to reach it again on another level, another way. And the sweetness of it is just awesome and profound.
We do have a hand up in Podbean. Let's see if we can get the connection to go through this time.
And or if it's someone who has the ability to dial into the show, if you can, if you're on Podbean now, because it's easier to listen. But if you can dial to the show and do it directly, the experience is that the voice is much clearer and the connection is much better. So I'll just put that forward. But let's go for it.
All right. You're on the air?
Aloha, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear her, Michael?
Yes, I can. Okay, cool. Hey, you know, I have a question, yeah? And my question is...
Go for it.
Like, what's going on, because there's generational things, yeah?
Start.
We need to
Start.
Could you
if you, ho.
Just
If you could just,
Jamuna. Hold on, Jamuna, just a second.
If you could just slow it down just a little bit, your voice. If you could slow it down just a little bit, your voice is coming across, but it's overwhelming my speaker or my sound system. So if you could just slow down
Jamuna,
just a little bit,
like
I think I can keep up with you.
Really got a a spark in it, but maybe back up just a tiny bit from your microphone and speak slower.
Okay. Is this better?
Yay.
Or do you want me to put silent?
That's better.
Okay, I apologize about that. Say if your great-grandfather raped somebody, would it be possible that those people whose their ancestors or the people living today, there could be an energetic thing going on where there's like, they could be reacting to you and you not doing anything, but they're really reacting to their grandfather or whatever. I'm not sure if that makes sense. And if so, how do you heal that if you're not aware of it?
My take is that it makes perfect sense, yes. The energetic dynamics that flow through all generations have an impact on everyone involved in those generations. And as we talked about before, a state of energy in one mind, if it matches or is in resonance with the state of energy in another mind, or what we call physical form, if they match, yes, there's going to be an exchange of energy between them. And the methodology of healing it would be exactly the same as any other energetic pattern, and that is to utilize every tool that you've got. Of course, the primary one being forgiveness, when one becomes aware of those energetic dynamics, to remove them. So if I interact with someone and there's no intellectual knowledge of what's going on, but I sense that there is a discomfort from them toward me, or a discomfort in me toward them, then I would proceed with every tool that I've acquired to find the root of the discomforting energy in myself, utilize whatever tools I've got to access that energy directly, bring it forward in the presence of love, and watch it dissolve. Watch it be forgiven. That would be my take.
Thank you. I was just curious.
And yes,
Yeah.
I believe many of those kinds of interactions occur between people, and there's just not enough awareness to go, something happening here that we each have the opportunity to do some healing around, and therefore each have the opportunity to become free. I love one of the lines in the Course in Miracles that says, "There is no place so holy upon the earth as the place where an ancient hatred becomes a present love."
Yeah, that's a beautiful part of the Course. I just was
powerful.
Wanting to ask that because I just feel like sometimes there's a lot of that going on, and we're not aware of what's going on because it's something that with our ancestors or something. So, yeah, always about forgiveness.
Yeah, definitely healing those ancestral energies is I think, a really important part of our lives.
I agree.
Sweet.
And I don't know. That's all I wanted to ask because I don't know. But thank you so much. And I'm sorry about that.
Honored, delighted you're here.
All right. Okay, one love.
All right,
Aloha.
have a blessed one.
Aloha.
Aloha. So, Miss Jeannie, what do you have?
It is all quiet. There's no hands up. There's a bunch of people on the switchboard, but nobody has a hand up. We've got 48 minutes.
Well, let's continue then to move in the direction of just a general understanding and building the brain cells for having a mind that can comprehend, and I'm not even sure comprehend is the right word, can represent correctly the energies of human life as they were able to be represented and comprehended in the first century Aramaic language. So for those who have the Enlightenment book, we're on page 54 near the top. And Yeshua was in a conversation with some people. It says, there came a ruler who approached with homage and said to him, my daughter has just died, but come and place your hand on her and she will live. And Yeshua and his disciples arose and followed him. Arose, I think we could say, elevated their awareness, their conscious awareness. And lo, a woman whose blood flowed 12 years came from behind and touched the fringe of his garment. And my offering here would be that this was not about touching a piece of cloth as though it were his physical clothing she touched, but rather that she entered into a connectedness, a proximity with his energy field and received support from it. And she was saying in her nafsha, remembering nafsha being the Aramaic word that represents the state of being, our original created state. She says, even if I only touch, so she's not doing this with her mind. She's gone beyond her mind's awareness into the state of being, realizing there's something that needs to move. And so she says, even if I only touch the fringe of his garment, I shall be healed. So she has an awareness that in the space of her own vitality, she does not have the ability to embrace whatever it is that needs to be transmuted. She doesn't have the wherewithal energetically to transmute or to change that energy, but knows that she needs support. And Yeshua turns to her and says, take heart, daughter, your faith has given you health. And the woman was healed from that hour. And let's take a look at the Aramaic meaning of that word faith as it's used there. And we're on page 54, about the middle of the page. And the word that's used to represent faith there is haymanuta. So let's just look in the back of the dictionary. So going to the back of the dictionary, H. And so we're on page 79. Pardon me, no, we passed it. The top of page 77, hayman, Aramaic. And it speaks of belief. If we look down at the bottom of 76, it speaks of a noun, one who has this condition, a structure of the mind underlying the attitude and judgment we describe as faith or trust usually faith in the true and loving presence of love. And that one who has this state would be in Aramaic hayman, Hamna, which would be an individual who has fidelity, faith, and trust, variously translated as would believe me, have faith, completely believes. And then add to that hayman the suffix oota. And oota indicates, so we're going from the top of page 77 to the just below the top of the page on page 90, that suffix oota designates, so there's this active presence of faith, and adding oota to that word designates that an unconscious mindset or attitude, controlled perception, reason, and memory, is now lifted to a function from a control set to physical action and or decided judgment. So here we see this woman taking action from a state of faith, and then putting that faith, not just having it as a state of mind, but actually putting it into action. And that's what Yeshua recognizes here is her action, and that it is her action that has given her health. And Yeshua came to the house of the ruler and saw the performers and people in commotion, and he said to them, "Stop it, for the little girl is not dead but asleep." And they laughed at him. And when he sent the people out, he held her hand, and the little girl rose up. The tidings spread throughout the whole region. And Yeshua left there, when Yeshua left there, two with blindness followed, crying, "Set your love act for us, Son of David." So what is this, let your love act? Remember, we've talked about Rakhma over and over and over again. So the root of this word is Rakhma. So let's go back to the dictionary again. And let's look at that word. Going to page just one second here, turning page 78. So at the bottom of page 77, Athrakim is Rakim, T, and the IT prefix includes Rakhma and Rakim. Going back to page, let's see here. Rakim ties right back into Rakhma, reminding us the definition there is the love upon which all law hangs, all-embracing love. The presence of love without request or demand for reward or return. Pure love, which includes, or we could say envelops, reason, judgment, and behavior. So this gateway that brings in this energy of being. And then it goes on to suggest checking up the corollary word in Aramaic of Khooba. So we'll go from 91 in the dictionary to Khooba, which is page 79. Down toward the bottom, once again, a mindset of love. It includes a desire or a goal of all-embracing affection, and the cue control, which causes that which is good, wholesome, and lovable about the other to be perceived. And it makes a note that Aramaic dictionaries subsequent to the 7th century tend to convert this concept to Renaissance love, getting, the Greeks starting to get in there. So we've got Rakhma, which applies over the frontal lobes of the brain, Khooba, which applies to the back of the brain. In one case, filtering intentions, in the other case, filtering perceptions. So these blind men are asking that Yeshua allow the presence of love that is coming through him to act for them. And when they came to the house, the blind ones approached him. Yeshua said to them, "Do you believe that I can bring this to pass?" And they said, "Yes." Thereupon he touched their eyes according to your faith. We're back to that word, hayman, shall it be done unto you. Really emphasizing the fact that the opening or the state of one's own mind has to be able to hold the possibility of the shift that's being asked for to occur. As opposed to, well, somebody out there come perform a miracle on me. His question of them is it in you to hold this as possible? And that's a key part in the whole process. You'll notice on many occasions where they want to make it Yeshua performing miracles. He says, no, it was the state of the person who had that shift occur in them. And to me, the whole body of the work, the whole project, is to defeat the parts of the mind. Defeat meaning to remove the parts of the mind that say, well, this is just the way it is. A shift is not possible from here. That a key component is that in the energy field of the person looking for the shift, there has to be at least the perceived possibility that this shift can occur before it can occur. That nothing on the outside is going to make it happen until one develops the mindset within themselves. And it's interesting, in the ancient teachings they talk about don't ever make a contract with the kings, because these people have been practicing for so long to instill total control, which to me would include the impossibility that you could shift away from addiction to their control. And even if you went to one who was captive of the king and removed them to some far land, If their minds were not freed, they'd still be captive, though out of the presence of their captor. And the captor could be hostility, fear, sadness, grief, rage, or physical imprisonment. And immediately their eyes opened and they could see, and he sternly charged them and said, "See that no man knows." And my take there is that what he's saying, it's kind of that idea of don't cast your pearls before swine. If you, my take is many people enter into a space, open that space where their healing occurs. Then, because they're not sure, they turn to someone who will deny, will destroy that state of healing in them, and they'll revert right back because they don't have this activity of Rakhma in themselves. And then it goes on to say, but after leaving, they broadcasted in the whole region. And when Yeshua was leaving, they brought him to one dumb, could not speak, in whom a demon was settled. Now remember this word demon in Aramaic, diva. We've talked about it several times, and this is a good place to go back and review it again, because the Greeks have given us such a dastardly view of some sort of an external force, that there's something out there to get us. And if we look, and we're going to page 75 in the dictionary, about 2/3 of the way down the page, if you look at this diva, it gives a reference to divan. And divan is a noun, a carnate, finite entity. Now, the Greeks would put a period after that word entity and go, see, there's some sort of something out there. Again, we're on page 75 in the dictionary. But it's this carnate, finite entity representing an evil idea, remembering that the word idea, or pardon me, evil, in Aramaic is another archery term. When you fired at the bullseye and you miss the bullseye, the scorekeeper would yell, evil. So this carnate, finite entity would be an image in the mind representing, or the reflection of, a signal comes into my television set and there's no picture in that signal. I mean, you can look inside that wire, you can look at every frequency coming in that wire. You will not find channel 2, nor channel 4, nor channel 10, nor the newscaster, nor the video of the latest happening in the world. It's not in that piece of wire. Yet, when you connect that piece of wire to the television set, it's in the television set. How does that happen? The television set converts the information into an image, and that's exactly what the human mind does. Whatever mind energy we hold, and this is why it's so important to understand the difference between what the world calls bodies and mind. The mind converts frequencies the same as my television set converts the frequencies coming in through the piece of wire. Whatever it is that comes in with the neuropeptides formulated out of our thoughts. And what by definition is the core of this evil idea? It's an idea in conflict with divine design. We could say simply something in conflict with love. And then this entity of mind, if we used a comparison, we could say, well, we took a picture of a dollar bill, and we broadcast that picture of the dollar bill, And now on our television screen, there's a picture of a dollar bill. There's no dollar bill in the wires. There's no dollar bill in the signal coming in. But the TV set converts the information held in the signal into a picture of the dollar bill. In exactly the same way, there's no evil entity outside of us. But according to the mind energy, which would be the signal that we've engaged in, then we can formulate a picture. And people then believe that the picture in their minds is outside of them. So this evil entity of mind, or this entity of mind that goes against the active presence of love in us, and to me, to simply recognize that the idea is that whatever is in any of us in the way of signals, mind energy from past generations that would be so far off the mark as to be called evil, that this ends up creating pictures or entities in the mind, and that it is capable, looking at the definition here, that this deviant is apparently capable of fixing or settling in a mind so firmly as to control in whole or part its attitudes, words, behavior, and judgment. In other words, it's such a fixed structure of mind that it reflects this perception. And remember the Course in Miracles definition of perception. Perception is a world made up by you to take the place of what the Creator gave you in creation. The Creator gave us nothing but a world of conscious, active, present love, symbolically in the ancient teachings referred to as the Garden of Eden. And we chose to try to figure something out, and we entered into eating of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We started to formulate these structures of mind, and when the pictures resulted from our buying into structures of mind, we went, oh, look at this picture of something that's outside of me and attacking me. And now the Greek comes in and says, yes, see, these evil demons are outside of you. But they're nothing but structures of mind that are in conflict with love, that have so settled into a mind. And how does this settle into a mind? Generation after generation after generation after generation of power person messages, and the basic power person message, the first one that most people get is something along the lines of you're broken. And you look at how many people, even after they've understood and heard and said to themselves over and over and over and over again, that's not true of me, because they've not yet reached the root of the energetic pattern that's been implanted through the generations, still comes up with this construct, this picture of self as evil, as less than love. And to me, our real work is that of reaching the depths of stillness to the point where those deep places open for exposure to active present love. And those deep places are beyond cognitive thinking. That's why you can't figure it out. But to notice where tensions are, where resistance is within the structure. To be able to breathe into those places and soften and open to the presence of love. So Yeshua is asking these blind persons who want to see, is it in you to comprehend that it's even possible? If it's not, then no, I can't do anything. But if it's in you, if you're at the processing point where you're ready to deal with that issue, then yes, I can be the space. I can reach out with the energy that will support you in being able to fully embrace that in the presence of love and therefore cause its dissolution or its forgiveness. Nothing to do with you're going to be let off the hook because that's something you did or was in you, but simply that one is at a point where they can open to the stillness of holding that energy while allowing the active presence of love to enter. And yet, if one has been so convinced by the implantation of deep generational patterns, yeah, well, no matter what, you're still a failure. No matter what, you're still broken. No matter what, you'll never be good enough. No matter what. That's the pattern, the deep pattern that needs to be broken in each and every one of us. So they brought this person in whom what they considered a demon, and again, please forget the Greek idea of some sort of weird-looking, climby, creepy creature that has a hold, and recognize we're talking about structures of mind. And from the moment of expulsion of that demon, he that was dumbstruck spoke, and the people were amazed and said, not ever was such a thing seen in Israel. In other words, what was it that opened in this person that they were at a sensitive period where, with the presence of enough love, that deep hidden space was able to open and be dissolved? And then, of course, along come the Pharisees saying, as a master of demons, he's expelling his own demons. So now the demon in the Pharisaical mind, the structure that says, anyone that doesn't follow things the way we say they have to be followed must have a demon. So now they put him in the category they've got themselves judged as. And Yeshua was going about all of the cities and villages and teaching in their synagogues and putting forward these good tidings that the active presence of love, that the community of love was at hand. And as people joined in that energy, sickness and infirmity everywhere was dissolved. And now when Yeshua saw the people, his love, the presence of active love, his being reached out to them. They were tired and pushed to and fro like sheep that have no shepherd. And he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, and the workers are few. Wish of the master of the harvest that he secure workers for the harvest. Who's willing to do the work of being that space, of entering that practice, and moving truly into what human life is really capable of? And he goes on, if we look at the next passage, now we're heading up to the page, top of page 56. And there are a few passages there from Matthew 10, and he's speaking here of the removal of these generational patterns. If we go back, the first one here, if we go back once again into the dictionary, let's take that first word, APL. And we see that it's speaking of a verb here. So he's talking about an action that he's going to take that separates the energetic patterns of a man from that of a father, and the daughter from her mother, and the daughter-in-law from her mother-in-law. And so the word that's used in Aramaic is applav. And it's a verb to divide, to have, to separate. So he's saying you'll actively be divided from these generational patterns. For I came to separate a man from his father, and a daughter from her mother, and a daughter-in-law from her mother-in-law, to free them. Those injurious to a man are those of his own household. In other words, these patterns, if we look at that word injurious, build upon, let's take a look at that in the dictionary. So we're down at the bottom of page 73. An adjective, that which is injurious, adverse, or hostile. And so, in essence, what he's saying here is that the patterns tend to be passed from generations to generation. He's not talking about physical separation. He's talking about healing the minds who are trapped in the quote-unquote evil that we were speaking of earlier, the structures of the mind. And he who loves his father or mother more than me, and my take here would be that this would be one who's attached to the good old family feeling. Well, yeah, but I can't go against what Dad did or what Mom did. If it's not based in love, you must go against it if you're ever going to heal. It's time to let go of the traditions of pain and trauma. So here we're talking about attachment. And whoever does not take up his cross, so once again he's saying that each of us, if we carry an energy that does not belong in us, we need to be willing to face that, whatever that's about, and step in. He says, and follow me. Step forward into the process of removing what does not belong in you. And he who finds his own nafsha shall lose it, but he who loses his own nafsha for my way shall find it. In other words, moving to a higher state of being than the good old family feeling, than the tradition. And he says, I've got tools. I've got a way for you to do this. Are you willing? In Matthew 11:28, come to me, you are weary of labor and heavily burdened, and I'll refresh you. I'll hold the space for you. Take on yourself the yoke upon me, and learn from me that I am serene and peaceful of mind. So he's speaking to people who are not in a state of serenity or peace. And you will then find yourselves in serenity, and find that serenity for your own state of being, for your own nafsha. For the yoke upon me is pleasant, and the burden on me is light. So he's opening a pathway, a method of understanding what's going on in one's own mind, where responsibility is a possibility, and bringing active present love to whatever one is choosing to be responsible for, is going to bring the core of healing forward. And Ms. G, we're down to about 15 minutes. So what do you say we check in and see how this is fitting, and see if anyone has any questions or thoughts for us? If you're out there in listener land and you're on one of those stations where we can't see you, our calling number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number, you'll be listening to the show directly. And then if you push 1, hand will go up on the control panel. And through the magic of technology, Jeannie will introduce you by your area code.
We do have a question.
Awesome.
Okay, is it always going to be here in this dream world, the Pharisees, meaning even if I completely heal the structure, mind, etc., there will be brethren that find fault, scapegoats, and project? How do you heal that one?
Well, there's a mistake in identification there, I think. I don't have to heal that one. That's not my responsibility. If I'm in a state of connected present love, I have nothing to heal. I then am simply able to become a space. The minute that I go, oh, look at that brethren over there, look what they're doing, that's my issue. That's my energy that I'm dealing with now. That's my projection. Remember the way that projection in the mind works. When I live in denial, when I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of what's moving in me, I dissociate from a part of my own mind. Now, once I dissociate from a part of my own mind, I set up a signal. I set up a literal energetic call for someone to come forward and do that very behavior. And then when they do that behavior, I'll take the upset in me that I've dissociated from, and I will literally turn that energy into the image in my mind of them, and I'll go, look now, what do I do to heal them? What do I have to do about that? It's like there's nothing for me to do about that. If it's outside of me, and if I'm in a state of disturbance, then it's inside of me. It isn't about that. It isn't about them. It's about what's the part of me that I need to embrace here, that I keep putting into my brain's image of what I think is out there, because there's no out there in that situation. There's only an image in my mind, a perceptual construct in my mind, made of the energetic pattern that in me that I have not resolved. So how do I heal it? The goal that I hold for that brother or sister. I acknowledge that that goal is driving my perceptual mind to use my dissociated content to build a picture of what my mind tells me is them. And I realize that because I'm the one in disturbance, it isn't about them at all. It's an energy about me. And the core of the forgiveness process is that I precisely identify the goal that I held for them, and I cancel it. And when I cancel it, that perceptual construct where I've taken my irritation, upset, pain, trauma, whatever it happens to be, and literally used that information to build a construct, a picture of what I think is them, that's really nothing but a reflection of myself. I collapse that by canceling the goal. I invite Ruka into that part of my mind and that part of me that is in need of healing. Because if I think something outside of me is in need of healing, the disturbance that's in need of healing is inside of me. It's not outside of me at all. And of course, if I hold something that I'm in need of healing in me, I will tend to draw somebody who will reflect it to me. And I'll be able to point to it and go, look, see, it's out there. But no, the disturbance that I need to heal is the one inside of me. Can I be, there are two tests in A Course in Miracles that the Course offers for assessing where you are in your process. And the second one is the tough one. The first one's a relatively easy one. And that test is, when I think of someone, am I at perfect peace? If I can say yes, then great. I'm through the first part of the test. And then the tough part of the test is when that someone thinks of me, do they share my perfect peace? And if they don't, it's because I still have an energy attachment to them. That's my healing, and it's about me. When I let go of whatever that energy is that seems to resonate something in them that they projected in their brain's image of me, then that image in them will collapse as well, and they will share my perfect peace. But until I've come to that place of stillness in myself and accessed and processed through whatever that disturbed energy is, I'll keep making up pictures after pictures after pictures of those that I want to talk about who have a problem. And I walk away from the situation of disturbance. Instead of talking to myself about me, I walk away from that situation of disturbance talking about them. And now I know I'm back in projection again. And that's the next level of my healing work. So that would be my offering. That would be my take. Do they share my perfect peace? And do I share theirs? And if my perception is that they're not in perfect peace, am I okay with that? If I am, and I maintain my own perfect peace, then I'm complete with that issue. If they're still ranting and raving, doing whatever they're doing, and I have no energetic link to it, I'll just look at it and go, wow, that looks like quite a rant and rave. Looks like some pain. I can hold space for that healing. But if all of a sudden some little part in me tweaks and tightens and I want to talk about them, I'm in projection. Remember that projection is not about taking something that's inside of me and putting it outside of me. Projection is taking something that's inside of me and making pictures of it. Projecting the content in my mind and making up pictures of what I think are other people and things that are outside of me. So that would be my feedback. Does that fit? Make sense? Any comment on that?
They haven't written yet if that works for them.
Cool. Well, we've got about 6 minutes, 5 minutes left. If there's somebody out there in listener land, if any of this is making sense or not making sense, any refinements, any questions, please push one. Let's have a conversation. Otherwise, how about if we each just take a deep breath and find that place of perfect peace within you. And gently breathing throughout your whole structure so that as you start your breath into your mouth and into your throat, you allow that energy of the breath to just allow yourself to feel it. Allow it to just expand right down through the core of your being, of your physiology. Feel it just moving right down your spine through your hips, right down your hips to your legs and your feet. And breathe. And with that breath, hold an image of the deepest, most inspirational, perfected love that you can imagine. What might your imagination say would be the source of that? Then let yourself go there. Or if you've had the direct experience of that, let yourself go to that experience. And simply breathe that presence of love. And feel it flow into every cell of your structure, softening, opening, healing. And as you draw your next breath, and you watch that breath move throughout your structure, allow yourself to become aware of the light in each cell of your structure. And see that light intensifying, strengthening, permeating every cell so deeply that the light spills out from one cell to the other, and the light joins throughout your form. And as it joins throughout your form, you see this presence of life, life, both just expanding around your form. Remembering that when I choose love, it wakes up the love in everyone. See that light just radiate out from your middle to everyone in your proximity, everyone in your world. And see that light expanding in each person in your world. See the serenity that it brings as it envelops and passes through them. Knowing that you are the light of the world, allow that light to move throughout all time and all space. Breathing with you, joining you in having the best year yet of your eternal life. Blessings.